You know, ever since I pivoted to doing only retro retrospectives on this channel, there's only been two franchises that I've been worried about deep diving. One being anything FromSoft puts out for obvious reasons, namely just how obtuse and buried their lore is, but the other might surprise you. Metal Gear Solid is a beloved and groundbreaking franchise helmed by the one and only Hideo Kojima. So with Delta around the corner, and with this franchise being such a landmark of the PS1 and 2 era, my bread and butter, I knew I couldn't just avoid this franchise for very long. So today, let's tackle the original Snake Eater, deep dive everything this game has to offer, and uncover my complicated feelings about Hideo himself and the franchise in general. Today, let's remember Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. So our story takes place during the height of the Cold War, with a rookie called Jack who looks awfully familiar. He's sent into the heart of the Soviet mountains to infiltrate a research facility to extract a scientist who is looking to defect to the US. Exciting stuff, right? Well, okay, I just need to get this out there early. I cannot stand the way that Kojima crafts his scenes sometimes. They are bloated, full of exposition and tangents, just not interesting whatsoever, and long. Oh my god, are they long. And this intro is the perfect way that I can show the three contrasting ways that he can present a scene. Firstly, let's take the actual cutscene. A typical cutscene that you would see in any video game, and when Kojima is here, I have very little to complain about. It sets up an intriguing intro to our story, bounces between multiple characters, giving them all something to do and say, is dynamic, and gives us good characterizations already, with little moments like Snake being too cool to put on his mask and to put out his cigar, up until the Major tells him to do so, showing us already just how deep-seated of a soldier mentality he already has. He only takes orders from those he sees are above him in the command chain. It's really great stuff there. But then let's move on to our second style of storytelling that Kojima likes to do, the "you just tuned into the History Channel" type cutscene. And oh my god, can I not stand these parts. This is Kojima at his worst. Everything I mentioned before is here. The blow, the tangents, the exposition. It is here for a full 6 minutes, uninterrupted. Keep in mind, I've only just started my game. This is going to be people's first impression. Any intrigue that first cutscene did, building up to that Halo jump, is completely deflated whilst I wait out this long, boring history lesson / briefing. And sure, you could maybe get away with an exposition heavy scene like this if the visuals were in any way engaging. Video games, much like movies, can find a way of hiding the excess or boring parts of the narrative. They can hide it in audio files, diaries and notes. They can make sure something exciting is happening, or at least have some sort of camera movement and changes. They can do countless things to keep the audience engaged. What I certainly don't think is very fun to sit through is this coffee-stained filter of a vaguely relating live-action scenes and fuzzy photos. A word I hear a lot tossed around with moments like this, and for Kojima in general, is realism, which is kind of funny when you think about it, as they are literal ghosts, metahumans, and, well, whatever the hell this is. But I do get it. Kojima does like to throw a lot of realism into his work. He has a very specific and keen eye for detail. Now, I'm no history buff, but I have full faith that a lot of what is being presented here will have some bearings to real life. Kojima has simply slotted in his own characters and work into these real life events, and that is fine, that is great even. But this is simply just the least engaging way of presenting this history lesson to me. Or at least I thought it was, until we'd reached the third style of storytelling that Kojima likes to do. Probably the most famous style in this franchise too, the Codex Call. Okay, so I am being a little bit hyperbolic there, just to segue nicely into these calls. I'll take this any day of the week over those history lessons, but I still do have my problems with them here. And I think he's going to touch upon something that I want to deep dive further in later on in this video. I have very fond memories of the first two entries to this franchise, but I'm going to hold my hands up here and just say that I have not played them in a very, very long time, especially the first. So when I say that I think these codex calls are missing something, I don't fully know how to explain what I mean there. But for comparison, check out some of these early codex calls from the first Metal Gear.
This is Snake. Colonel, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's the situation, Snake?
Looks like the elevator in the back is the only way up.
Just as I expected. You'll have to take the elevator to the surface, but make sure nobody sees you. If you need to, contact me by codec. The frequency is 140.85.
This will be a sneaking mission. You must not be seen by the enemy. You must leave no trace of your presence. Is that clear? This kind of infiltration is the Fox unit's speciality. In other words, weapons and equipment are procured on site. That goes for food as well. You're completely naked, just as your name implies.
Great. Now I see why you asked me if I like snakes. I suppose calling me Snake was your idea of a joke, too.
No, there's a good reason for that. I'll tell you later when the time is right.
Gotcha. Getting back to the subject, how exactly am I supposed to feed myself?
You've been issued a knife and a tranquilizer gun. Use them to hunt for food. You'll also find some medical supplies in your backpack.
Yeah, about the backpack. I lost it in a tree on the way down.
I see. Well, you'd better go back and get it then. You know where it is?
No problem. I can see it from here. It's stuck on a branch.
To climb a tree...
You see what I mean? Just something feels a bit off about the third entry. It doesn't flow quite right. So let's put a quick pin into this critique and move on to the call itself. This is going to sound like a bit of a tangent, but one of my pet peeves is when people try and critique movie dialogue by calling it Marvel-like. Now you know the type of dialogue. Someone will be talking and the hero will intercut with some lame quip, and people now claim that he's infiltrated the entirety of modern day Hollywood. Well, Kojima sometimes has a way of skirting that line for me, but when he does it, I can't quite tell if it's a setup for a quip or it's just another bloody paragraph of exposition. Take this part for example.
Your codename for this mission will be Naked Snake. I'll be referring to you as Snake from now on. You're not to mention your real name.
Snake?
What, you don't like snakes?
What do you mean?
You've eaten one before, haven't you?
In survival training.
You see how this is like 1 degree of separation from a Marvel quip? Here's another quick example from just this call.
She's also in charge of recording your mission data. Whenever you want to save, send a message over the reserved save frequency, 140.96.
So saving lets me record my mission data.
That's right. It also records the state of your health.
Good to know.
Now I cannot stand this. It irks me so much. She can save your game. So you're saying that she can save my game? That's right, I can save your game. Why do we need to reiterate this so many times? And okay, whilst we're here, I brought up realism a fair few times already, and that is also something that Kojima loves to skirt the line on. He can be hyper specific with the most mundane of details, such as Snake's eyes adjusting to the dark, whilst also having a man whose power just seems to be bees. Kojima just loves to have it both ways. And here we have an operative who is literally now in the field, having to spend 10 whole minutes being debriefed on the whole mission and given a nickname, whilst being told what a nickname is. I mean, even the Major himself hasn't given himself a code name. This isn't realism. And I know, this is essentially the tutorial of the game. You are being told who you are, what you're doing, while sneakily teaching the player about eating, which is actually going to be a big part of the game, but I'll cover that a little bit later. I still want to focus on the tutorial portion here, as we retrieve our backpack and are right back onto the codex for another 10 goddamn minutes. Jesus Christ, I do not want to harp on this so early into the video, but this is just inexcusable. We've had a small couple of scenes, near 10 minutes of the History channel, and now 10 plus minutes of near uninterrupted Codex yapping as the Major introduces Snake to the whole damn gang and goes into excruciating detail about the littlest of things. What we are to do, the emphasis on stealth, the tranquilizer gun, and this suppressor, the eating, the fake death pill, the revive pill. I mean, in its defense, those are vital things right there. The trouble is, it's all thrown in with all this other useless mush and blended for a whole 10 minutes. Take this whole interaction with our paramedic, for instance.
Hello, Snake. I'm paramedic. Nice to meet you.
Paramedic.
As in a medic who comes in by parachute.
Aren't you going to tell me your real name?
Are you going to tell me yours, Mr. Snake?
My name, huh? It's John Doe.
And they call you Jack for short. You're a regular Captain Nemo.
A name means nothing on the battlefield. After a week, no one has a name. What's your name?
Jane Doe.
Very funny.
I wasn't joking, but I'll tell you my name only if you manage to make it back alive. My frequency is 145.73.
Snake, are you the dumbest person alive? The Major just explained the vital use of codenames during this operation, as the enemy could be listening in. And Mr. Thinking with his snake only over here is like, hey baby, so what's your name? Mine's John, but you can call me Jack. Now, I do think I know what this scene is trying to get at. This won't be the last time that I bring this up, but we all know that Kojima loves his movies. And there's so many moments in this game that remind me of a certain British suave spy. Bond. Of course it's Bond. And I do wonder if Kojima here is slipping Snake into a bit of a Bond mode here by trying to get him to smooth talk this woman on his team. But if he is, all that suaveness soon leaves the moment Snake is introduced to our final member of the team, the boss.
Jack, is that you? How many years has it been?
Boss?
That's right. It's me. Talk to me. Let me hear your voice.
It's been 5 years, 72 days, and 18 hours.
You've lost weight.
You can tell just by the sound of my voice.
Of course I can. I know all about you.
Okay, I do not know what kind of relationship that these two have, but it is so creepy, yet fascinating at the same time. They have this supercharged sexual tension between one another, whilst also feeling like mentor and trainee, and even at sometimes mother and son. It's super uncomfortable, yet engaging at the same time. It also starts scratching at the political themes that this series is famous for. The difference between a soldier and a man with a gun, as the boss likes to put it.
A soldier needs to be strong in spirit, body, and technique. And the only thing you can learn from someone else is technique. In fact, technique doesn't even matter. What's most important is spirit. Spirit and body are like two sides of a single coin. They're the same thing. I can't teach you how to think. You'll just have to figure it out for yourself. Listen to me, Jack. Just because soldiers are on the same side right now doesn't mean they always will be. Having personal feelings about your comrades is one of the worst sins you can commit. Politics determine who you face on the battlefield. And politics are a living thing. They change along with the times. Yesterday's good might be tomorrow's evil.
And it's all nicely put here, even if it is slightly rambly and out of place. The boss speaks heavily on how they are no true enemies nor comrades, just simply what the politics at the time demand. One moment we are banding together to fight the likes of Germany, the next we are shaking the hands as fellow allies. It is really good stuff here. I again just wish the engagement was better. Now I'm not going to get into it all over again, but it really is the whole core of my love-hate relationship with Kojima as a whole. The work here is brilliant, but I've already been here waiting to start playing my game for nearly 20 minutes now. I am not engaged. And this isn't a TikTok brain attention spam issue. It again goes back to my previous talk on hiding the mundane. We see boring conversations in movies and TV shows all the time, but writers and directors know how to keep the conversation flowing. They can keep the audience engaged and following along. Now imagine this codex call in a movie. One person on a phone call for 10 whole minutes. The camera doesn't cut, and he doesn't so much as move from the chair he is sat in. You'd be bored. You would drift off and stop listening. And this is what I have with scenes in this game. Even if what they are saying is engaging, this bloated staticness of the scene is not. It doesn't quite flow for me either. The thin strand of conversation we have from, you left me, I still needed to learn from you, to, no, I taught you everything I know, this is what a soldier is there. I can see how we got from one to the other, but it still doesn't quite sit right for me. It's why it comes across as a little bit more rambly to me personally. It feels like, hey, just keep her talking and she'll get onto any old subject, rather than a clever way of dropping in these political takes and character motivations. And again, going back to the first Metal Gear, here's what those scenes are like.
It's Snake. I'm in front of the disposal facility.
Excellent, Snake. Age hasn't slowed you down one bit.
How's that sneaking suit working out?
I'm nice and dry, but it's a little hard to move.
Bear with it. It's designed to prevent hypothermia. This is Alaska, you know.
Take it easy, I'm grateful. If it weren't for your suit and your shot, I would have turned into a popsicle out there.
An anti-freezing peptide, Snake. All of the genome soldiers in this exercise are using it.
I see. I'm relieved to hear that. Already tested, huh? By the way, how's the diversionary operation going?
2 F-16s just took off from Galena and are headed your way. The terrorist radar should have already picked them up.
Snake is more flirty, is more informed, and the conversation itself is more dynamic. It flows better. These people feel more natural when talking to one another. There's just something about this third entry where these characters just don't feel natural. The person that comes to mind when I think of this is M. Night Shyamalan. Take aside any of your opinions of his films, whether you like them or not, his characters don't sound natural. No human on this planet talks like the way an M. Night Shyamalan character talks. And Kojima is really getting there too. So after close to 30 minutes, we finally get control handed to us. So let's quickly cover first how the game actually controls. Well, in true Kojima fashion, it is not going to be as simple as you think it is. You see, some simple mechanics we have are just mapped in a very odd way. Let's take shooting for example. R2 is commonly used as our trigger, with L2 usually being for our aim. But here, R2 is used to open up our weapons menu, to siphon through the different weapons we have pulled out of our backpack and equip them on the fly. Instead what we have here is holding the square button to aim the gun and releasing it to fire. Odd button to pick, but okay, it just means that we have to use the L2 and square instead of L2 and R2. Well, we can do that. Well, no, because L2 pulls up the item menu to siphon through various items and gadgets that we have pulled out of our backpack to equip them on the fly. Instead, R1 is used to go into first person. Odd button to pick. But okay, it just means that now we have to press R1 to go into first person, hold square to aim, then release square to fire, instead of just L2 and R2. Well, we can do that, sure, but this took a little bit longer than I care to admit to get used to. And the simplistic version is staring at us right in the face. Just have the first person button be our aim whilst we have a gun equipped. And whilst we are on controls that took a little bit too long to get used to, let's talk about sneaking itself. Snake has 3 positions: standing, kneeling, and prone, all of which you can cycle with using the X button. Holding it can also get you from standing to prone immediately. But for me, there just came so many moments of becoming irritated with this, and the sole cause of this is the fact that you just cannot move whilst crouched. Every time you do try and move while crouched, you instead just go prone. This baffled me when replaying. This just feels like a staple of every stealth game. Tenchu, Splinter Cell, you name it, you can move whilst crouched. How else am I going to sneak up on my enemies? Well, funny story about that. It turns out, to sneak, you have to use the D-pad. A fact that I am now only learning as I write this script. So yes, I ended up playing the entirety of a stealth game not knowing how to stealth. I even have written in my notes, how the hell are you supposed to sneak up on anybody in this game with clips like this selected?
Huh? Who's that?
I mean, come on, how is that not stealthy? How could I be moving any slower? Well, with the D-pad apparently. Now, I know some of this is on me. I could have called the boss multiple times to get some tutorial lesson. I'm assuming the sneak button is taught by her. But I've played a Metal Gear before, and I know my way around a stealth game, I thought. Plus, I've been waiting to play this game for damn near 30 minutes now. The last thing I wanted to see or hear are any more bloody codex calls. Plus, that's just not a great method of teaching the player in my opinion. As I mentioned before, most people picking up an FPS know what buttons are to shoot and which are to aim. Same goes for the likes of driving a car in a game. This right here though, sneaking with the D-pad and moving with the analog stick, is never going to be used in any other game because it is such a bafflingly bad design decision that no one else but Kojima would have the borderline smarts or stupidity to make it. And to also hide that lesson behind a random codex call or menu, whilst going into excruciating detail about every other function of the game, such as the bloody backpack and food and upcoming camo and survival lessons, is even crazier to me. How are you explaining those mechanics, but not, oh hey, by the way, I changed the sneak button? It just leaves me asking why. Now, I haven't played 2 in a very long time, so I can't recall if the D-pad is used for sneaking there, but by 2004, we are pretty deep into the analog sticks being the new norm for movement. So why not just have the analog stick be used to sneak? It's already being used to move, and the beauty of these sticks are the ability to just slightly move them, giving you more control over a character's speed. So we could have just had it where we had to move slow to sneak, like I thought I was doing throughout my entire playthrough. Or, better yet, have the goddamn crouch mechanic be our sneak. Seriously, why can you even crouch in this game? What is the point? What is the purpose? It is next to useless. We start actually playing the game now, and it's not long before we come to this sinking mud pit and crocs, and I just want to touch upon the strange nature of animals in this game. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like the croc should be putting up a hell of a better fight than this. And that goes for most animals, to be honest. They don't feel like animals. They never really put up a fight, well, for the most part. And they never really fear you or run away. I mean, I would have just loved to feel more so like I was hunting these animals for my own survival, rather than them just sort of being there and allowing you to so easily walk up to them and knife them. The game does have some semblance of hunting. We can find mouse traps in certain areas to lay down and catch rats. But when capturing or killing animals is this easy, then what's the point? Cool detail I really do like here is that if you don't make it to a safe place in time whilst in the sinking mud, Snake will just flat out drown. I also do really like that the mud stains can so clearly be seen on the clothes and the left behind footprints after you get out of the sinking mud. We come across our first couple of guards next, and are given the use of our different camo options. In this menu, we can change our face paint and clothes to best blend in with our environment and make it harder to be spotted. And I'll be completely honest here, this feels rather underutilized. Not the camo itself, the camo is very, very useful, but the menu. As you can imagine, most of the time, we'll be sneaking around the forest, and the environment rarely changes, undermining the need to change camouflage often. I think I can count to maybe 3 or 4 different camouflages that I had to use throughout my entire playthrough. Next area, and we come across another couple of guards, and are taught this time to look out for parts of the environment that we can use. In this instance, a beehive that is nicely placed over the guard's patrol, and I do really love this. We are already building upon our sneaking set of skills, and are also learning early how looking around to see what we can find will really be beneficial to us. Something that will become imperative when playing this game, as everything from entrances to areas, secret items and weapons, and environmental help will be found this way. We reach the abandoned factory Sokolov is being held in, and an interesting thing that I need to point out here is this interaction you can have with certain moments in the scene. You see, every so often you will get the prompt to hold R1 during cutscenes to basically see the scene through the eyes of Snake himself. Some of these prompts are even hidden. I like these. They're pointless, yes, but fun, harmless little Easter eggs. Then we trank our way through to Sokolov, where we run into another 16 minutes of cutscenes. Look, I'm just going to stop bringing up how egregious and mind-numbing all of this is. Let's just break down what we have here bit by bit, starting with our initial meeting with Sokolov.
You must be Sokolov.
Are you one of Volgin's men? You'll never get it from me.
No. I'm a CIA agent. I've come to escort you back to the other side of the Iron Curtain.
You're CIA?
Yeah. I was sent by Major Zero, the man who got you out 2 years ago.
Zero?
I have a message from him.
What is it?
He said to tell you sorry for being so late.
Did he now?
What does it mean?
It means he's a man of his word. But we've got no time for this. You have to get me out of here before they arrive.
Who's they?
Colonel Volgin of Gru. You in the West know him as Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt? Never heard of him.
You know, for a man as cryptic as Kojima can be, he can also be extremely blunt and make characters seem really, really stupid. Here we have a moment that is set up between the Major and Sokolov, where Snake is primed with a line that is treated almost like a passcode. Sorry I'm so late. I say this as that phrase has zero nuance to it. So, if the agent in the field isn't saying this phrase to his contact as a code to indicate who he is working on behalf of, then why is he saying it? Snake even asks, well, what does this mean? Only to learn that it just doesn't really mean anything. It is simply just that. The man is sorry that he is late. There's no deeper meaning behind any of this, no nuance, no nothing. So it just makes Snake look really dumb for asking. It makes me feel really dumb for thinking that there's more to it. Something else that makes Snake seem quite dumb is this mention of Volgin. Sokolov says that the West know of him and have nicknamed him Thunderbolt, and that they need to escape before him and his men arrive, but Snake has no idea who this man is, which is again something that maybe should have been briefed upon before coming here. But I get it, if Snake knew who Volgin was, we wouldn't get a chance to have another history lesson now, would we? So the long and short of it is this. Volgin is an extremist who hates the fact that their current leader, Khrushchev, is seeking peace with the West. With the assassination of Kennedy, peace talks have started to break down, and now Volgin, his small army known as the Gru, and this super weapon that he wants Sokolov for to complete, is looking to take advantage of all that to take control of Russia. So we have to get Sokolov out of here before Volgin can get his hands on him. But wouldn't you know it, Gru are already here. Well, one member is at least.
You're not the boss, are you?
Gru operatives?
Okay, so I have so much to unpack here. Let's start with Snake and just how terrible he is at his job. You know, they really do flip-flop on this. One moment it looks like he's just wandering out into the open to get easily ambushed, and the next he's taken out a small army with nothing but a tranquilizer gun and some judo flips. This is the first scene I think that truly shows the contrasting nature of this franchise. How you can be so self-serious, heavily historic and political, but have a goofy character like Ocelot turn up and start mewing. It's so cringe-inducing, and it's just one of those things that I think you're either going to really love or hate when it comes to Kojima games. I, for one, do not mind it. I much prefer Ocelot in other entries in this franchise, but I cannot deny that characters like him are the reason that this series is as memorable as it is. I just don't know if these games would hit the same if the whole tone of Metal Gear was super serious. And Kojima has made a whole career of mixing the two. You can go from barely surviving an apocalypse to singing in a bathhouse with a possessed wooden puppet. Now, I'm not saying he balances the two well. If you are looking for just one of those tones, the other really does stick out like a sore thumb. But I do appreciate the blend nonetheless. Like I said, it makes these games far more memorable. Now, this is a nitpick, but these soldiers are worthless. First, the ones Ocelot took down. I mean, did none of them think to return fire? Did they all forget they were even holding guns? He wasn't that damn fast to have been able to shoot them all before they could react. I mean, look at that last guy, the one who just stood on a rooftop with the man in his line of sight at all times. He had Ocelot dead to rights, and yet still decided to run when Ocelot noticed him. Same goes for the crew members Snake takes down. A better job is done here by showing him take human shields to stop them shooting, but I mean, come on. Look at this. Just aim up a little and fire. You have 2/3 of the body still visible. Never mind his head. You ain't gonna miss whilst you are that close, unless you have the aim of a stormtrooper. I also just like how Snake pretty much gives Ocelot a pep talk here. The man is just so weapon and soldier focused that he can't help but give constructive criticism to even his enemies. Now, another small attention to detail that I really do love here as well is that after the cutscene, we can see everybody knocked out bar for that one person that Snake tranquilized. He's instead sleeping. It's such a great little touch there, and a beautiful way of blending the cutscene and the gameplay, making it seem really seamless. I also love this little Easter egg. Because again, this is a prequel, and Ocelot is such an important and integral character to the franchise, if you kill him, this happens.
Snake, what have you done? You changed the future. You've created a time paradox.
It's not long before we catch up with Sokolov, where we can see the first glimpse of this super weapon. We also run into another complication when getting Sokolov out.
Boss?
Good work, Jack.
What are you doing here?
Sokolov comes with me.
Hornets?
My friends, let us fight together again.
I have waited long for this day.
We will fight with you once more. Welcome back, boss.
Now that all 5 of us are together, it's time we go to the depths of hell itself. It's raining blood. Is he crying?
Kuwabara, Kuwabara. Ah, what a joyful scene.
Colonel Vogan.
Welcome to my country. And to my unit.
Boss, what is this?
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union. Sokolov is a little gift from my new hosts.
Recoilless nuclear warheads. These will make a fine gift for me.
This can't be happening.
Who is he? Another one of your disciples? Are we taking him with us?
No, this one is still just a child. Too pure for us Cobras. He has not yet found an emotion to carry into battle.
What are you talking about?
Think you can pull the trigger?
He's seen my face. We can't let him live. If Khrushchev finds out about this, we're finished. He must die.
Wait. He's my apprentice. I'll take care of him. Jack, you can't come with us.
The new blood has been rejected. Are we done here?
Now, onto Sokolov's research facility.
Shagohod is ours.
Drift away. My place is with them now.
So another lengthy cutscene here, another 10 minutes, but hey, who's keeping count? The boss has betrayed us, has got her old Cobra unit back together, and has defected to Volgan's army. And I love all these little pieces being put into play here. Let's start with the boss and her team. Now I, and I'm sure many out there, are just a sucker for some Metal Gear bosses, whether they be goofy, creepy, or just over the top. They are staples of this series, with very rare misses. And although we only get a brief glimpse of this team, and we can only really see 2 of the team's abilities, they've already been set up in such a great and imposing way. I mean, the boss is seen as such a legend, so if this is her team, then you know that they must mean business. But if it's an imposing intro we are going to talk about, then I have to give it up to the man himself, Volgan. Now this might be controversial to say, but I think Volgan might actually be my favourite Metal Gear supervillain. He's such a cool power, and a great design, and he's just so damn menacing. It feels like when you're watching a scene with Homelander in it. Volgan always comes across like he's just the strongest man in the room, and he's looking to prove that at any moment. Snake is lucky the boss stepped in to fight him herself, otherwise he would be dead. And let's touch upon that moment as well, because there's one part during that whole scene that speaks the most about Snake and the boss's relationship, and it's this. That one gesture. Keep in mind, she has clearly betrayed him already, broke his damn arm, and told Volgan to leave Snake to her, so at no reason should he trust her. Yet, with just that one gesture, that one arm out, he does it anyway, showing just how deep his trust for the boss goes. We learn how to tend to our injuries next, with another in-depth codex call. This may seem super in-depth from the conversation with Paramedic, but it is fairly simple, and surprisingly bare bones in my opinion. Each injury can be seen on this cure menu, and each come with a brief sum of what the injury is and a rough idea of what we still need to do to cure it. Apply bandages and disinfectants to cuts, splints for broken bones, stitches for deep cuts, that kind of thing. I do appreciate the inclusion of this mechanic into the game. It's unique, it makes it stand out from all the other entries, and adds another level of realism and survival to the game. In practice, however, this just becomes a bit of a chore and a pace killer for me. Every encounter you have with the enemy will always inevitably come with a fresh injury to take care of, meaning that you have to break up so much of the action to go into this menu, select the 3 or 4 items needed to cure that one injury, to then return to the action and probably receive another injury. The last boss in particular was beyond a joke for this. It kills the pace of the action, it pauses the fun of the boss fights, and it just becomes so damn repetitive and annoying. And with this menu, and the food menu, and the camouflage menu, it just made me start treating Snake like he was a damn Tamagotchi or something. So with Snake injured, the boss and her reformed Cobra has defected, and Volgan with his hands on Sokolov and the super weapon Shagohad, the tutorial is over, and we can now officially launch into the game, fit with a James Bond intro and everything.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night.
See, I wasn't kidding with those Bond influences. So 1 week later and we are back in the jungle. This time, however, on direct orders from the US government. You see, with our American aircraft being detected in the area, along with Volgan being a little bit trigger happy with one of the 2 nukes he was gifted, Russia now believes that the US is launching an attack on their country. And after the president explains the situation, Khrushchev seems open to trusting him, but demands more proof, meaning that Snake needs to return to Russia, save Sokolov, destroy Shagohad, kill the boss to clear America's name, and as a nice little bonus, kill Volgan as a favour to Khrushchev. While we're going over this to-do list with the Major, however, we encounter a big old pet peeve of mine when it comes to Kojima, his love of movies.
It turns out Tom wasn't the most auspicious choice.
What do you mean?
Well, the truth is, when I chose my codename, I picked the wrong one.
The wrong one?
Did you ever see the movie The Great Escape? It came out last year.
I must have missed that one.
Anyway, It's based on a true story about prisoners who escaped from a POW camp in Nazi Germany. The prisoners dig 3 tunnels as part of their plan, but the Nazis find 2 of the tunnels before they're finished. The prisoners succeed in escaping by using the last remaining tunnel. The names of those 3 tunnels were Dick, Harry, and Tom.
I get it. You used the name of the tunnel they escaped in as your code name because you thought it would bring you good luck.
Yes, that's exactly right. At least, that was the plan.
But
But I got the name wrong. The one they escaped in was Harry. Tom was one of the unlucky tunnels. It was discovered by the Nazis before it was finished. I watched the movie again just to make sure. In fact, I even ordered the actual film from the movie company.
Oh my god, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? Now, there's 1,000,001 little dialogue moments that can easily be criticised and evaluated if you truly wanted to go through media with such a fine-tooth comb. I'm not here to do that. However, there's just something about Kojima's pop culture obsession bleeding into his games that just really rub me the wrong way sometimes. I can deal with the goofiness of the series, I can deal with the cringe and the questionable choices, but just being sat down and having someone talk at you about their favourite films in such excruciating detail is just a step too far for me, and it happens so much. Here is what happens every time you save your game.
Hey Snake, you ever heard of Godzilla King of Monsters?
no, what is it?
It's a movie. You haven't seen it?
Nope.
It's about this monster called Godzilla who grows to an enormous size in a nuclear test and goes on a rampage in Tokyo.
Nuclear test, huh? Then the Marshall Islands must be crawling with giant monsters right about now.
It's just make-believe.
Maybe that's why my pants have been so tight lately.
Snake, it's a movie, not a report out of Los Alamos.
I know. So then what happened?
For the love of God, just let me save my game and let me go. A nice little touch that I do love in this environment is the grass movement here. We can see it be disturbed as we, or a small animal, make its way through it. We soon run into the remains of our dropship, only to run into the boss again. I think there's a lot of great subtlety here, small hesitations in both characters. Snake being the easier one to see. Everything down to his decision to even wear his old mentor's bandana still shows his devotion to her. As for the boss, she may talk the talk about killing us, and even whoop Snake at every opportunity that she gets, but there's been a lot of small moments we have seen where she shows her vulnerability. It clearly pains her to do what she is doing, especially to Snake, who she still cares deeply for. But her duty is before all of that. She is firm in her belief that what she is doing is still for her country. Still, I don't care how much she may care for Snake, having her horse stand on his hand like this is such a dick move. So with our weapon taken off us and the drone we came in on destroyed, we have guards on us very soon, which is a perfect time to cover sneaking again. We all know Metal Gear's alerts by now. When we are seen, we're in high alert and more guards are called in, and after that timer depletes, we get a portion of time where the guards are still cautious but just not as aggressive. All of this still works really well. The part that I don't like, however, is how we have gone from structures, cars and lockers as our main hiding source to just tall grass mostly. And that isn't my problem. Tall grass is now a bit overused when it comes to stealth, sure, but it is obviously very fitting here. My problem is the camera. This is a third-person action stealth game with blends of first person. Now I understand the attempt to blend in the first person for the likes of aiming, and I do have my problems with that also that I'll get into later, but I just hate the change to first person whenever I enter tall grass. For a start, I cannot see a damn thing. Everything is just so disorientating. It also likes to swap randomly between first and third person, clearly showing how better it would be for sneaking in third person. So why not just keep it in third person at all times? Let me only go into third person whenever I press R1. As you can imagine, this is a big sticking out point for me with this game, as with not knowing I had a dedicated sneak button, this was my main method of sneaking around, hiding in the grass, sticking my head out and just tranking people. but this whole first person view just made doing that a hell of a lot harder, unnecessarily so as well. As we make it closer to our rendezvous spot with Adam, one of the moles that we have inside of Gru, something strikes me as odd about this whole area. This is obviously the same area we ran through when reaching Sokolov. They don't hide that, but it was hit by a miniature nuke, right? We saw the mushroom clouds and all. We were told in the briefing that we shouldn't have any trouble with guards in this area as the radiation from the blast is still around. Which, side note, thanks for sending us into a radioactive wasteland, US government. Anyway, my confusion comes from this. Does this look like an area that was recently hit by a miniature nuke? I mean, look around. Everything is still standing. Nothing is so much as even singed. Nothing was destroyed. If that nuke did 0 damage to a blade of grass, then what the hell is the US government even so concerned about? Let Vulcan have it. Let him fire it, what do I care? It wouldn't even melt a cube of ice. Inside Sokolov's would-be destroyed research base, we meet our contact, which doesn't turn out to be Adam.
Sorry I'm late.
Cut the engine. They'll hear us.
Are you the agent they sent?
Are you Adam? I thought you were supposed to be a man.
Adam couldn't make it.
All right, say the password. Who are the Patriots? Who are the Patriots? Answer me!
Oh, Eva. Eva. Kojima's continued efforts to sneak in his hyper-sexualized fantasies. First we had Meryl, which was tame, now Eva, and of course, who could forget Quiet. I'm just shocked that by Death Stranding, he wasn't just putting in sentient boobs into the game. But, you know, in Ava's defense, she's definitely played more so like a James Bond sex pot / honey trap in this game. I mean, one played out with the subtlety of a wrecking ball coming through your kitchen window, but it's at least something. I know it might sound like I'm coming across quite disparagingly of Ava, but I do like her, and she is well written in my opinion. We'll obviously be seeing a lot more of her throughout our playthrough, so we will cover the layers of depth that she has as we progress. I think she even outshines fan favourite Meryl in some aspects. I do really like this first interaction we have between them as well, starting with her trying to lay it on thick. Again, subtlety of a wrecking ball, and Snake just having absolutely none of it. He's clearly attracted to her, sure. I mean, come on mate, you're not even trying to hide the fact that you're staring at him. Also, just as a quick side thing, and I don't want to throw this word out there willy-nilly, as I think we live in a day and age where it is overly diagnosed, but Snake definitely feels like he is on the spectrum here. Look at him beam with glee as he breaks down just how perfect this new handgun of his is.
The sight system is original too. The thumb safety is extended to make it easier on the finger. A long type trigger with non-slip grooves. A ring hammer. The base of the trigger guard's been filed down for a higher grip. And not only that, nearly every part of this gun has been expertly crafted and customized.
It's this next part that I want to really highlight though. After Ava is given Snake Sokolov's location, she says that he should first get some rest. And we have this exchange.
What's the matter?
I don't know you well enough to trust you.
How well do you have to know me to trust me?
I don't know if I can trust anybody.
I don't know if I can trust anybody is the key line that I want to take away from this scene. This man is so clearly, deeply hurt by the boss's betrayal, and who can blame him? Trust can be a very hard thing to do, and we have a man here betrayed by the one person he trusted the most. Snake still catches some Z's and wakes up in the morning to Ocelot and his men surrounding them, leading to another encounter with the mewing man himself.
I've been waiting for this moment. That's it! That's the stance! I don't think so. What? A female spy? This bitch is wearing perfume. stay where you are. I've had enough of your judo.
I see you've got yourself a single-action army.
That's right. There'll be no accidents this time.
You call that an accident? Well, it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been showing off.
What did you say?
It's a nice gun, I'll give you that. But the engraving gives you no tactical advantage whatsoever. Unless you were planning to auction it off as a collector's item. And you're forgetting one more very basic thing. You don't have what it takes to kill me.
We'll see.
I love all the reads that Snake has on Ocelot, basically boiling him down to a child who tries too hard to show off and look cool. Which, well, if that isn't the perfect read of this character right here. We follow Ava through a newly opened route to an open lake, which makes me question where she went from here on a bike, but never mind. I really like the murkiness here, and just seeing signs of more wildlife thriving around us. Now, I've already mentioned a dense population of wildlife that you can find in this game, but what do they do? Why can you capture and kill them? Well, you see, you don't really heal up that much in this game. Interestingly enough, it's the stamina meter that you have to focus on. It can slowly deplete as you are running around, as you are carrying more weight, it can lower during injuries or food poisoning, and all of this can affect your healing. So eating to recover your stamina becomes vital. Now this may seem daunting at first, having not just ammo and weapons to look out for, but now animals to hunt for food. But as I've said, wildlife is just thriving out here. You will not be scarce for food, so it's never really a concern. I pretty much just filled my backpack up early doors and barely had to think about it throughout the rest of the game. On the one hand, I think I would have preferred my food source to be a bit more scarce, like ammo should be in a survival horror. But I understand how unrealistic that would seem. We are in the jungle. Of course this place would be teeming with animals, and Snake isn't exactly picky about what he eats. Nice little touch here of Snake's aim getting a little bit shaky when he is low in stamina and hungry. I really love that detail. We find Ocelot waiting for us once more, still salty about his multiple defeats and wanting to face us alone, bringing us into our first boss fight. Before we get into the fight itself, I love the fact that Ocelot is shown to once again take Snake's criticisms on board. This time, not only doubling his carried guns, but to get rid of all the flashy engravings on the guns. Now as for the fight itself, I love these. Metal Gear Solid again is famous for their boss fights, and they rarely disappoint. Here we have a simple showdown with the Mewing Man himself, where we each have to run to cover and have this tense shootout. I love the amount of options that we have here too, not just cover wise, but we can do little things like wait until his ammo depletes and has to reload before we get our shots off, climb up on high to have full vantage of the battlefield, and even shooting beehives so that they can attack Ocelot. Although this does come with annoying Ocelot's men, who return fire on us, only to then be told off by Ocelot himself. It's just such great little touches here. By far my biggest complaint though, and just the biggest detriment to this whole game in general in my opinion, is the aiming. The snap from third to first person, as I said before with sneaking, is often disorientating. Far too many times during this fight alone did I get the jump on Ocelot, snap to first person, and then just have to re-find him again, because the game now has me facing a completely different direction. Shooting without first person aiming is next to useless too, so this is how combat was designed. But it just never seems seamless, and can make the fights feel needlessly frustrating. Our fight is soon broken up by hornets, forcing Snake to jump into the canyon and the caves below. One small little blink and you'll miss it detail that I do love here is this small bit of fourth wall breaking, with having some of the hornets land on the screen itself. We make it through the caves, but it isn't long before the hornets find us again, triggering our second boss fight, this time with our first member of Cobra, the Pain. And I'll be honest here, for as much of a threat as we've seen from this guy in cutscenes, he's just a big old pushover in my opinion. It's already shown how effective diving into water is to avoid these hornets, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing during this fight. Pain simply just stands on a rock in the middle of the battlefield, not really doing all that much, allowing us to get shot after shot off on him, and whenever he does decide to attack, we can just simply dive into the water, where he loses sight of us quickly, and we can pop up behind him and continue our attacks. He does apply hornets to himself to act as a sort of shield, but several shots or a flashbang soon sorts them out, letting you lay into him some more. I added detail that I do really like, is if you defeat each member of Cobra by depleting their stamina, they still do die due to self-implosion, sure, but each will leave a gift for you, usually in the form of their camos. Now, I know we have just fought a man who fights with hornets, and we have another man in this game who can seemingly generate lightning, but the biggest what the hell moment for me is upon leaving this boss fight and seeing these in this next area. I mean, what in The Incredibles is this nonsense? This is still the 60s, right? We also get eyes on Sokolov. And again, I just really love Volgan and Ocelot here. Ocelot may have taken some criticisms of Snakes to heart, but he is still just a child, showing off and playing his silly games of chance here with Sokolov's life. And I just love how sadistic Volgan is here. Not just for hurting Tanya, but for just allowing Ocelot to even play this game in the first place. I remind you, he needs Sokolov to finish Shagohad. His whole plan revolves around this man, and he has gone to great lengths to kidnap him, only to just stand there and let this idiot play Russian roulette with his life. If the boss didn't just step in, Sokolov would be dead, and Volgan would be screwed. I love this detail after this scene of the End's health bar suddenly appearing, hinting that you can fight him here, and sure enough, if you are quick enough, you can pull out a sniper rifle that you found earlier, aim, and one-shot the End as he is being wielded away by a soldier. Making it to the lab is where we take a leaf out of Agent 47's book of blending in. We got given a scientist costume by Ava back when we first met her, that we can use in facilities like this one to be able to simply just walk on past the guards. I do love the detail of the other scientists being the only ones who can sniff this disguise out, as they will clearly know who each of their co-workers are. Inside, instead of finding Sokolov, we find Goranin, a former weapons specialist, now stripped of his title and left with nothing to do but rot in his office and drink himself into a stupor after his superiors went with Sokolov's plans for the Shagohad and not his. He points Snake in the right direction, telling him to head to the mountains where Sokolov and the Shagohad are being held, in Groznygrad, a seemingly impenetrable fortress of Volgans. On my way out, I get to show off just how silly and ragdolly everybody can become when being hit. I mean, look at these dives. They're just so goofy. And they do this for any hit. If a door so much as grazes them when being opened, they go flying. It reminds me of that car glitch in GTA 4, where you can put a car in a certain swing and it just bugs out and launches the car hundreds of miles into the air. On our way back to the warehouse, we encounter our next Cobra. Another fun and creepy boss, even if I am slightly confused on the animal motif he seems to be going for. I just see this invisibility like a chameleon maybe, hopping around the branches like a monkey, tongue of a snake, step into my web and the poisons of a spider. I mean, he's just got a lot going on. I also feel like this is such a great setup that he's immediately let down because of the systems that we have access to. We are shot and injured in the cutscene, and are told that the poison bolt is going to slowly kill us. But the moment we are handed back control, we can just go straight into the injury menu and boop, we're cured. How much more tense would it be if we had to beat the fear first to get the antidote? All the while we could be hallucinating and, oh, I don't know, be seeing Snake's biggest fears? It just feels like they really missed a beat with this one. I mean, what exactly is it about the fear that we are even meant to be scared of? He is laughably easy, even easier than the pain. He rarely shoots us, opting to spend more time jumping from tree to tree, which we can easily keep track of because we have thermal goggles. Then when I did enough damage to him, he spent the rest of the fight looking for food, all of which was poisoned apparently, which is odd because I never poisoned any of them. I tried to throw out a poisonous frog, but I don't think he ever took it. I think there were also traps scattered about the place that the game expected me to use, but this guy is such a pushover that I never even got a chance to. Well, the game sure does love throwing in boss fights back to back at us, don't they? Because it ain't long before I make it to the big one, the one everybody knows from this game, the end. Can I just get out one more pet peeve that I have about specific bad dialogue? I hate redundant, repetitive dialogue, and the end here has heaps of it that I can use as an example. I mean, look at this.
I have already slept enough for one lifetime. Enough for an eternity. You have my thanks. I have to thank you.
I've slept enough for one lifetime. Enough for an eternity. If you hadn't shown up, my sleep would have been eternal. You have my thanks. I have to thank you. Also, Snake just seems really dumb standing there. I can't imagine he hears any of this dialogue from the end, and if he could, he's just been warned about this guy and told that he's a sniper, so why wouldn't he get into cover? Plus, the end seems to be acting like Snake is in his crosshairs, and he just isn't. It's just an oddly bad intro scene. As for the fight itself, well, what can I say? It is a legendary fight, well remembered and beloved by all who speak upon this game. It is essentially a large-scale sniping duel. The end can be held up in many different spots throughout 3 different locations, and you need to sneak around and spot him before he spots you. Here's my issue with the fight, however, and that is everything that I just explained. 3 near identical looking, wide open spaces filled with a vast amount of hiding spots for a well camouflaged sniper to be hiding in. It makes for an absolute nightmare game of hide and seek, and not a fun one. I can see the initial thrill of this fight's gimmick capturing the attention of a new player, but I no joke spent 40 minutes on this boss fight, and by minute 5, the thrill of that gimmick fades and frustration kicks in. I think this is a prime example of looking better on paper. This sounds like an incredible boss fight when remembering it and speaking about it, because you're never thinking about the long stretches of nothingness that happen as you check the same identical looking patch of grass for the umpteenth time. It is memorable, sure, and will go down as one of the most impressive and unique boss fights in gaming, but is it fun to play? Not really. Part of this might also be on me, and my trank only run that I was apparently committing to. I didn't have access to a sniper that fires tranquilizer darts yet, so maybe the fight could have been slightly more fun if I did go mano a mano with him in a sniper's duel. And I do like the way that you can use the thermals to track his footprints once you find him the once, even if he did eventually get a bit wise to that and wash his feet in a small lake when running away. I also had this really disorientating moment towards the end of the fight when my camera slowly changed to the end's perspective as he sees me in his crosshairs and starts open firing. Again, pretty cool when I look back and remember a moment like that, but when I was actually playing it and it happened, I hated it. And from an iconic boss fight to an iconic moment in games, this ladder sequence may seem like the opposite of working on paper. If Kojima came up to me in development and told me he was going to put in a 3-minute ladder climbing sequence, I'll call him a madman. But it does really oddly work with the simple addition of this iconic theme song.
I give my life, not for honor, but for you.
Listening to Snake Eater as we climb makes it really feel like we are building up to something. I mean, in reality, we clearly aren't. Snake isn't struggling whilst climbing, he isn't injured and heroically still persevering. There's no threat up ahead, no time limit or countdown, nothing to really build up this climactic climb, nothing but a theme song, and yet it still works so damn well. After the climb, we are now in the mountains, and just seeing how tiny that massive jungle below looks is such a great touch. Now we know why that ladder sequence took so long. Look how high we are. That is such a great blend of gameplay and design choice. We rendezvous with Ava up ahead to get more info on Groznygrad. Turns out we need more security clearance, this time a card that is only carried by one man, Raiden. But not that Raiden. When returning back on ourselves to use the key Ava gave us, we run into a new type of enemy. These gas mask wearing, flamethrower carrying demons. And my god, fire is just super punishing in this game. I hope we never have to deal with a boss who uses such a weapon. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which, now, Fear is a weird one for me, because I feel like he's the forgotten child of Metal Gear Solid 3. He gets no build up, is never really seen, only slightly glanced sat in the background of the helicopter at the beginning. I mean, I don't even think he's name checked until the boss reveals that all the other Cobras have been defeated. And yet, I feel like he should go down as one of the more memorable boss fights in this game, at least on par with the end. Fear and Pain have build up that lets you remember them, which they desperately needed, as their boss fights are just super forgettable. But with Fury, you will not forget this. You are trapped in small corridors with a madman with a flamethrower. What could be more tense than that? And it is brutal. I died on this fight so many times. This will definitely be the difficulty wall a lot of new players will have to cross to continue, especially towards the end of the fight, where Fury just loses it and starts sprinting and flying down random corridors, just burning the place up like a madman. But just like everything Kojima, he does put plenty in here to help the player, such as pipes that you can shoot to douse the area with water, or, weirdly, the most helpful of tools, your trusty cardboard box, which is fireproof apparently. The trouble can be though, that because you are left to simply just figure these things out for yourself, or discover them in videos such as this, most people are just going to use a gun and nothing more. And whilst not impossible, there's so many frustrating design decisions here that can make that seem super unfair. For example, this. What could I have possibly done in that situation? A smaller gripe of mine that I ran into constantly was this little step here. You see, to climb, Snake has to push his back to the surface, to which you can then press the climb button and he will perform that climb up that knee-high wall. It is needlessly annoying at the best of times, but especially when in the heat of battle. No pun intended. I also ran into the old familiar issue of aiming during this fight, with an extra caveat this time to make it even worse. You see, I opted to use my newly acquired sniper rifle during this fight, and for whatever reason, it was decided that you cannot move whilst holding a rifle. Apparently it's just too damn heavy for Snake or something, meaning that whenever I had the Fury in my sights, I had to equip the rifle, forcing me to stand still, then go into first person mode, aim and shoot, then unequip the rifle as he retaliates with flames to quickly escape from them. As you can imagine, his flames were often quicker than my unequipping and fleeing, leading to more frustrating hits. With the last of the Cobras down, we now enter Groznygrad, and now this feels like old school Metal Gear. Now we have a base to go sneak and a super weapon to find and destroy. But first, we need to find that Raiden lookalike. And what's strange about this part is, you simply can't just knock him out and steal his clothes. No, for whatever reason, you are asked to get him to the locker rooms to stuff him in one, to then steal his clothes. This just seems needless. Snake needs to go back and learn a thing from Agent 47. Well, after all that effort, we used the disguise to sneak past all of 2 people before stripping away our disguise and having this scene play out.
Who's there? You're the man from the CIA. What are you doing here?
I told you before, didn't I? I'm going to get you out of here.
A man of honor, just like your commander. But I'm afraid you're too late.
Too late? Don't tell me. The Shagohods.
Exactly. The final preparations for Phase 2 are complete.
Sokolov, what exactly is Phase 2?
To put it in technical terms, it's a composite range extension system for medium-range ballistic missiles.
Major, what are you doing here? I've been waiting for you in my room. Who are you? Don't play dumb with me. If you think you can fool me, you're sorely mistaken. I know the Major better than anyone else. I come here looking for Tatiana, and what should I find? But a greasy freebooter.
This fairy disguise. It's gonna rub off on you. And then you'll lose sight of who you really are. Stay out of this!
So, first thing to take away from this scene, Volgan's an ally. Good for him. A small moment that does confuse me is the reveal of Ava's lies. She was presented at the beginning as Sokolov's woman, which is what prompted Volgan to keep her around as an incentive for Sokolov to continue his work. We even see this in a much earlier scene where Volgan hurts Ava in front of Sokolov and gloats about how much pain he is inflicting on his lover, and Sokolov plays along, but I don't understand why. Maybe Ava had already revealed herself to him as a spy by then. He did say she had told him she was sent by Khrushchev. Another layer to this as well is Snake. He also thought Ava was his lover, but when Sokolov reveals the truth and shows him a picture of his wife and kid, Snake is like, oh yeah, now I remember, we have him back at the CIA. Again, it just makes Snake seem really dumb. One moment that I truly do love in this scene is this quick bit here.
Stay out of this!
That one little moment right there just tells you so much. That was a slip up by the boss. And for all her talk about choosing the country over friends, family and loved ones, that was a brief moment in which she still chose Snake, and he's fantastic. So now Snake finds himself bagged and tied up and tortured for information. And I'm not an expert or anything, but it seems like Volgan is the one spilling the beans here.
Admit it! We're after the location of the legacy! The secret fund established by the three great powers during the 2 world wars. That's what you're looking for, isn't it? $100 billion, divided up and hidden all over the world. And you're looking for a record of where all that money is hidden, right? No matter. The Philosopher's legacy is safely in my possession. in the underground vault of Groznygrad.
There's also another amazing small moment during this scene.
It pains me to do this, boss, but under the circumstances, I'm afraid I must ask you to show me some proof that you and he were not in collusion.
You don't trust me, is that it?
Not that.
The boss puts the fear of God into Volgan with nothing more than a step. Then, of course, we have to get to Ocelot playing his little game of chance again. What's interesting about Snake losing his eye here is that it never really affects aiming going forward. It would be a hell of a difficulty curveball to suddenly throw the player if you got them to now only aim in first person using one eye, but it surprises me that Kojima didn't do that. There's also one bit during the scene that I want to bring up, because it again shows Snake just being really stupid.
I've prepared an escape route for us. Go out and head west. Pass underneath the connecting passageway and go north. You'll find an open manhole there.
You're...
Quiet! Go through the manhole down into the sewers. The door at the north end of the sewers is unlocked. You can use it to get outside the fortress. I've got your equipment. We'll meet up later.
Eva...
Yeah, we already knew this. Hell, I thought you already knew this. You saw Ava dressed as Tanya leave Sokolov just moments before. I know you just took a hell of a beating and are probably concussed, but how are you now only connecting the dots? Escaping our cell, we now need to make our way through the base, naked and unarmed, which is oddly enough another Metal Gear staple. We are chased into the sewers, and because we are just so tired of watching Ocelot play out that damn childish game of Russian roulette, we throw ourselves into the waters below, letting us play out our next boss fight. So, the Sorrow plays out a little bit different. He isn't really a boss fight, more so a walking simulator that tries to make you feel guilty about all the people you have murdered. What's interesting is that even though I had only killed one person accidentally, we still see all the previous Cobra members here, as even when beating them with nothing but tranks, they self-destruct. I question why they're here though. Like I said, they blew themselves up, so why am I to feel guilty about that? Anyway, the Sorrow does have a nasty little trick that he plays upon the player, as when you make it to his corpse, this happens. Yep, you die. And if you didn't know you can open up your item menu whilst in this death and use your revive pill, something that I'd argue you wouldn't think to do, then you are doomed to repeat this long stretch of walking sim forever and ever and ever. Now, the Sorrow does drop some hints on what you need to do here in his own kind of vague way. Wake up, return to your world, that kind of thing. But those couple of lines are really the only advice that you get for this. I can see it becoming super frustrating for new players. We are contacted again by Ava and soon rendezvous with her upstream behind a waterfall. I have to say, for a spy, Ava is terrible at sneaking around. Not only has Ocelot been suspicious of her the entire game, but how stealthy can she be riding around in this motorbike of hers? Here, Ava does more flirting and then hands us some C3 to blow up all the liquid tankers surrounding the Shagohad. So it's back up to Groznygrad for us. A nice little touch when reapplying the Raiden phase is now he has one of his eyes closed. I really do like that. We plant C3 on the last tanker and get ready to blow this hangar, but not before Volgan finds us again.
I should have known. Sokolov wasn't man enough to have a lover like that. Just like the KGB to send something so beautiful, yet so deadly.
What is the Philosopher's Legacy?
Very well. I'll explain it before I kill you.
Are you kidding me right now, Volgan? Are we actually stopping to explain the Philosopher's Legacy to us? Does this count as a villain monologue? Because I think it does. Also, what did I just say about Ava and that damn bike? I told you she is a terrible spy. And reeked of it, you say, Ocelot? Reeked? Do you know how strong a smell gasoline is? A dab of it on your clothes would stick out like a fart in an elevator. Does Volgan have no sense of smell or something? How is he sleeping with her and not questioning the smell? Anyway, the long and short of it is this. If you are kept up with the lore of Metal Gear Solid, particularly 2, you'll know all about the Patriots. Secret top government officials in the top nations that secretly work together to control the world. Real Illuminati kind of stuff. Here, we have the predecessors to that. China, America and Russia all work together to pool all their money, research and tech to beat the Germans during World War II. That pooled money has been laundered between a lot of secret accounts throughout the entirety of the world. Its actual location is on the microchip that Volgan possesses. But enough talk about Illuminatis and secret microchips. Volgan is finally ready to fight. So it is time to get our get back. And this can be another tough fight here. Volgan's powers make him seem damn right invulnerable. He often stays charged, making it so you cannot touch him nor shoot him. The trick here is to let him use his attack, which often decharges him. Then you can get a hit in. It can be fairly slow, but it's consistent. I knew this going in, but still struggled here due to this fairly tight time limit that you have. 5 minutes is not a lot of time, especially when he spends so much of that time charged. Sometimes it can feel quite unfair with whether he even decides to use an attack or pose or charge up, and sometimes that window that he has between decharged and charged is so tight that it is nigh impossible to even get a hit in. A really great touch that I do love as well is if you are hit by his electricity whilst you have your gun out, it will discharge a full clip. There's 1,000,001 different details like this that are scattered throughout the game that I have definitely missed or forgot about. We leave Volgan beaten and escape before the rig explodes, to find Ava waiting for us outside. I really do like the touch of Snake leaning to help Ava take her turn at the end of the scene here. As for this section though, well, it feels like one of those 4D rides at Disneyland. They try and make it seem exciting and dangerous, but you could have been more safe. What really seals that thought and feeling for me personally is Ava herself. It almost feels like she goes out of her way sometimes to tour the entire area before moving on, allowing Snake to shoot futilely at Shagohad and take out all the random soldiers. Speaking of, thank God it gives us unlimited ammo here, because shooting sucks. I've complained about the first person aim before, but it is extra terrible when using the likes of an AK. You really do have to just spray and pray. That being said, I do like this set piece where Shagohad is first after you. It is exciting and tense. And just as I started questioning Shagohad's capabilities and actual use, Volgan remembers where that damn throttle is and turns it into a real threat that can keep up with you. We managed to juke the Proto Metal Gear to make it across the bridge and wait for it to give chase again before blowing that bridge, defeating it and Volgan once and for all.
It's over.
Look!
Also we fought. Whoa, this thing has weapons? Where was that during the chase, Volgan? You could have easily beaten us back there with this arsenal. Anyway, this fight isn't too crazy. Ava runs laps around the course as you shoot the Shagohad's tracks to stop it in place and then fire on its weak spot. Again, I really do appreciate the unlimited ammo here. Really lets you just finally unleash upon this guy. That is, until phase 2, where Volgan emerges from the gear to power it up himself, and for whatever reason, Ava makes the stupid decision of kicking you off the bike to play decoy. She did not need to do this at all. We were doing totally okay firing from her sidecar. In fact, some decoy she turned out to be anyway. Once I hit Volgan once or twice, he turned his entire attention and arsenal on me for the rest of the fight. As for the fight, it plays out pretty much the same as the first phase. Shoot the tread to stop it, and then this time, shoot at Volgan whilst he is distracted. And before you know it, he goes down. Guys, I'm pretty sure those sparks are the bullets Volgan was carrying going off, so we probably shouldn't stand here. No matter, we are broken up by more henchmen, and we are right back to the 4D Disneyland ride again. This time without the mild excitement from the Shagohad. It goes on for far too long, this segment. I don't know what part is duller, the long stretches of no henchmen appearing, or the repetitive shootouts that you have with the henchmen when they do turn up. A nice trick that I recommend doing here is the quick reload. Every time you unequip and re-equip your weapon, it will have a full magazine. So instead of watching the reload animation play out 250,000 times, simply just unequip and equip and keep firing continuously.
Looks like they finally gave up.
Don't start celebrating yet. We're leaking fuel.
Damn it. Tank shot up. Crap.
God damn it, Ava. You were the one that even pointed out that you were leaking fuel. Why did you have to look at it for such a cartoonish amount of time? Now you're injured. And this feels like another case of the threat and emotional stakes being immediately eradicated using the cure menu. Ava was just on the verge of dying, and then, boop, she's all better now. And now we have to essentially escort her to the lakes nearby, whilst other patrolling guards are still knocking around. This part isn't awful or anything, I just don't think escort missions are ever going to be people's favourite, but it is mercifully short, only really having 2 sections. Once we are through though, we come up to our climactic battle.
Come on, Snake.
Oh, so now she can run. So the boss gives us a long history lesson before facing her, and it essentially boils down to her explaining some instances that changed the way that she viewed the world, such as seeing the horrors of the atomic bomb and secretly being the first person sent to space, and then explaining how far the philosophers have fallen. They first did form to help the world, but as more and more of them died out and then were replaced, it is now a faceless, unrecognisable, secret cabal of people that try to control the conflict in the world. So it has all led up to this moment. Our final boss, the boss. And she is no joke. She is fast, can easily beat you down, counter your attacks, block your bullets, somehow, and can lay down fire of her own. Unfortunately, as great of a fight as this is, as tense and difficult as it is, and as great of a payoff to the game as it is, I have to touch upon some of those annoying issues that just keep resurfacing in this game, namely the first person camera. Firstly, we are surrounded by flowers that keep us hidden well enough, but the boss is a lot more camouflaged than we are, so it can be super hard to see. This isn't my complaint. My complaint comes from that camo and first person. So when we do get a hit in on the boss and knock her down, you can follow it up by shooting her. Or at least you can try to, as most of the time what will actually happen is you knock the boss down and then lose sight of her when swapping to first person mode. Look around frantically until she stands up and then whoops you. I'm also just at the point where I despise this cure menu now. It started with Volgan that I truly started to notice just how anything can lead to an injury, and the boss takes the cake with that. She so much as breathes near you, you'll have an injury, so be prepared to spend most of this fight in this menu. There's also her melee attacks. Now, there is a way to counter this. I did manage it quite a lot, but I could never be certain of what I was actually doing. I just kind of guessed that it had to be a timing thing, and later on in the fight, where she is more consistently on alert, these counters can be pretty imperative to beating her, and I think something that important to beating the boss should just be a lot more clear to the player. All in all though, it's hard to fault this boss fight. It is one of the strongest in this series, with such an incredible payoff.
Jack. Or should I say, Snake. You're a wonderful man. Kill me. Kill me now. Do it. There's only room for one boss and one snake.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Metal Gear without a boatload of post-game cutscenes filled to the brim with twists, turns, and of course, more exposition. Starting with our escape being interrupted by Ocelot, who after finally managing to play a game of Russian roulette with us, reveals that his name is Adamski, meaning that this damn child with a cowboy obsession was the man that we were meant to rendezvous with at the very beginning of the game. The contact that we had before Ava, the man who was meant to be helping us this entire time. Well, he had a funny way of showing it. Ocelot, now happy that he got to play, says farewell and dives out the plane, to be seen again surely in every other Metal Gear game. Our next scene is just pure Bond. Snake and Ava holding out in a private cabin for the night with some wine in front of a roaring fire. They spend the night getting busy, only to wake up in the morning to this.
Scholars tell us that the first spy in history was the snake in the book of Genesis. In that story, it was Eve who was tempted by the snake in the Garden of Eden. But this time around, it was I who tempted the snake and got away with the forbidden fruit of knowledge. Forgive me, Snake.
Yep, it turns out that Ava has been playing us the entire time. She was never there to help us at the beginning, hence why she didn't know the password. Instead, she is a Chinese spy who came to steal the legacy and return it to China. Ava does reveal some truths, however, the truth that the boss told her herself.
Snake, listen to me. She didn't betray the United States. No, far from it. She was a hero who died for her country. She carried out her mission knowing full well what was going to happen. Self-sacrifice. Because that was her duty.
So, one last twist before the end. This was all just one big final sacrifice from the boss, going down as one of the country's worst war criminals just to help them get their hands on the legacy. I've said a lot of things about Metal Gear and Kojima in general, but I hope I can get across that when he hits, he really does just knock it right out of the park. Even with the low engagement scenes that I was drifting in and out from, the stealth game where I didn't know how to stealth, the frustrating mechanics that I grew to dislike, this ending still got me. It really is something special. This whole franchise is. I worry partly that this video can come across that I dislike Kojima and his games. I realise that I have had a lot of negatives to say and a lot to criticise, and I do stand by them. But I'm not here to dislike the man or his work. I do not think for a moment that he is a bad creator. His work does speak for itself. It also just unfortunately does come with a lot of critique in my eyes, and sometimes I feel like he does get a free pass on it. So that is Metal Gear Solid 3. And you know, all in all, I can see why this franchise has stood the test of time. I hope Delta can iron out a lot of the rough edges that can come with a 2000s PS2 game, because I would love a smoother to aim and sneakier version of this. Hopefully they can up the engagement some of the cutscenes there as well, but I'm not going to hold my breath for any of that. Anyway, those are my thoughts and feelings on returning to Snake Eater. How about you? Let's keep the conversation going below. I would love to hear from you. And whilst you're there, if you could like, share, and even possibly subscribe, that would be amazing. It truly does help the channel more than you will ever know. Thank you all for watching and making it this far into the video. Until next time, take care.